We have to have everything now, not tomorrow, now. People embark on a journey just for the reward when you should embark on a journey because you like it. I mean, you're not gonna like it each and every day. Some days it's hard, but I love what I do. You gotta like it. Otherwise, why are you doing it? If I just like the idea, then I can do everything. Because if I think about Joe Perry of Aerosmith being on a stage playing the guitar, of course I like the idea, but do I like the process of playing the guitar, going through all the stuff? Probably not. But do I like handstands? Yes. Even though I have to start from the beginning, I love to control my body. I love that, you know? That's my point of view.
And with that, welcome to another episode of Moving Mindset. Today, episode number 4. In this episode, I interview Elia Bartolini, who's a flexibility and handstand coach, also known as the Flexibility Guy on Instagram. He has a huge global community, author of many books on the topic of flexibility, and on top of that, he has his own app. You know, handstands and flexibility is a very long game. Elia has been doing this for 7 years now, and he talks a lot about how to maintain motivation over that long period of time, how he would start out, and what is his mindset when it comes to his training, his teaching style. He shares a lot of valuable personal insight, so if you want to find out more, I highly recommend you listen to the full episode. And without further ado, let's dive straight in. Elia, welcome to the podcast. Pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Enes, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. Can't wait to delve deeper into the conversation. I'm doing actually really fine. It's a positive period. And I mean, ups and downs as always. But yeah, generally doing fine. I'm alive. That's all that matters.
Well said. Being alive is truly a good thing.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
When looking at your socials, I see this guy who can do one-arm handstands, who can do splits, and is overall jacked. And what is always interesting to me is how did you get to that point? What is your background story?
That's a wonderful question. And what you kind of say on Instagram, on social media, whatever, it's somewhat like it feels like it's not me sometimes. Like it's a character. Yeah, that's the word. It's a character that I've been creating for so many years now, and it's part of my personality. And at the same time, it's not. So one thing that it's really hard for me to realize today is who am I? Like, am I the character I am on Instagram, or am I a different person? Maybe I'm both. Like, I think I'm both. And as you correctly said, I can do a one-arm handstand, even though it's not really. I'm not like a professional hand balancer. I think my level is pretty basic. I can do splits. Yeah, I'm not really jacked. I'm not like those fitness influencers out there. So I think about myself as someone who just puts in the work. That's all I do. And the fact that it's been so many years that I've been putting in the work, and then I've been training and I've been following these dreams and goals I have. Sometimes I feel I'm the character. Sometimes I feel I'm a different person. And since these things, so we're talking about one arm handstands, we're talking about splits. I don't want to say these are some of the most difficult things, physical things humans can reach, but I really do believe that they require a high dose of discipline, effort, commitment, time, especially time. Like, if you want to reach them, you have to truly kind of immerse yourself into what you're doing. There's no way around that. Like, there are very few people who can do, for example, a one arm handstand by chance. Like, there's no way. Like, there has to be something beneath that kind of one arm handstand, which is a journey. And each one of us has, of course, a different journey because we have different bodies, a different brain, different neural connections, etc. And I like to think about myself that the uniqueness of this journey is that this kind of person with my struggles, I don't want to say I have more struggles than others, or less. I have my struggles, I have my problems, I have my shoulders, my back, my hips, everything is like in a certain way. And so when you want to achieve something which is fixed, like a one arm handstand or a side split, which are physical things, you have to take into account how your body is made, how your mind works, how your character works, most importantly, how your joints work. So that means that you have to work on your structure, around your structure. That said, I've been spending so many years trying to build the character, and I'm like at a really critical point where I'm losing the connection with, okay, this is the person and this is the character. But as I told you, I think I'm both. Like training has been part of my life for the past maybe 14 years. So I'm 30. So it's almost half of my life. And it's not always been handstands or flexibility. I started with really basic stuff. I was a gym goer, just wanted to get big, you know. We all know that kind of story. No gymnastic background, nothing like that. I still remember first time I tried to do the splits. I was in a side split, maybe half a leg of distance from the floor. So that's a lot. That's for the record. I have really long legs, so that's a lot. For handstands, actually, when I first just started like going to the gym after a couple of years, I discovered calisthenics, the bodyweight training discipline, and part of calisthenics is the handstand. At the beginning, it was something I didn't like. It was so difficult, too mental, too time consuming. And I felt like this is not something for me because it's too difficult. I don't want to spend time learning this kind of stupid shit. And maybe I don't know why. I don't know why. Like like that's that. If I think about it, that's like talking to a completely different, like the opposite person that I am today. And that also teaches me that maybe you have an idea today, but you never know if that idea is going to be true or if you have to follow that idea in the future, because that may be just bullshit, you know? So with handstands, I really didn't start training handstands until it was late 2016, something like that. Then I started to get serious about handstands around 2017 when I traveled to London, took classes with a professional handstand teacher, and then I kind of traveled back and forth, London, home, London, home, London, home. That's my, I like to think about it as my most important experience, but I'm mostly self taught. What I mean is that even though I took lessons with a master, like 99% of the time, I was training alone by myself. My home gym every day, every morning, wake up, handstand, do the job, go to bed, and repeat that for years. So most of the time, I've been training by myself alone. I mean, I'm not completely self taught, but if I have to say how much time I spent with a teacher and how much time I've spent by myself, 99% of the time by myself, 1% of the time with a teacher. That's the balance. Flexibility wise, it's completely different because handstand wise, that's something that's a only physical discipline. I got a teacher because I had to figure out how handstands work and how to build the one arm handstand. I just have to train, follow the road, put in the work. That's it. Flexibility wise, I studied a lot, quite a lot on books, with teachers, by myself, watching other people train other athletes from different disciplines like gymnastics, martial arts, calisthenics, hand balancing, circus, whatever. And I tried to understand at my best what's true from a theoretical point of view. So I studied the anatomy of the human body, the neural connections between the neural system and the body. And I studied how our body moves, so the biomechanics of the body, how the joints move, how the muscles move, everything about the human body. I know the things I need to teach flexibility and to train flexibility in the best way possible. I took these kind of chunks of information coming from other fields like anatomy, biomechanics, everything, and I tried to bring them into flexibility training and to apply them to flexibility training. Of course, flexibility training, though, it's not only about theory. Like there is a huge literature around flexibility training. There are a lot of books, which I love. All in all, it's just the general culture, you know? And I took that culture and I took what I knew from other backgrounds and fields. And also I observed what works in practice, both on myself and on my students and others, like other people also on social media, why not? But also people like training gymnastic teams or martial art teams, whatever. Like I tried to learn from every possible background person I met along the journey. But flexibility wise, I have this ground knowledge about the human body, the human anatomy that helps me understand okay, this is how the human body works, this is how the muscles work. So if I want to understand flexibility, this is the way, this is how I can take these pieces of information and improve my flexibility, others people flexibility. And this is what I've been doing so far, also by sharing my knowledge on social media, but also inside of my books where I try to bring this knowledge to the people. And I've been doing that for around, yeah, 10 years, I can say now. I hope that I answered your question. I'm sorry if I'm a little thinking a little bit when I'm talking, but I tried to be as brief and clear as possible.
No, don't worry about it. You did a great job. There were so many points. Let me try to go through them one by one. So, one thing that stuck out to me was that you said you traveled to London to work
Yeah,
with a teacher to sort of
yeah.
get the corrections and then basically apply what you learned alone. In that time that you trained alone, did somebody write you a training plan, or was it really like, no, I'm just going to go in the lab and figure it out? How was that? How did that happen?
Whew. So again, sometimes I asked other people to write me a program. But I gotta be honest with you, never followed it. That means that I always changed the something. Maybe I added something, maybe I followed a different approach because I do think that each one of us is unique and I don't like being someone else plan. I mean, it's controversial, you know, because I know that when I teach someone how to do something, they have to listen to me, and I listen to them. But I also tried to understand okay, here maybe they're not understanding what I need, but I do understand that I need to do this with the mental approach. We're talking about something extremely specific as a one-arm handstand, which it's something really mental, and it's something that if you don't stick to a plan and you're not consistent, you're never gonna get it. So I did what it took to stay on the boat. That's it. All that mattered for me was to stay inside of the boat, not to give up, not to think about myself as someone who will never do it. Because I thought about it and I thought about, okay, this is not for me. I do want to quit. And if you stick to someone else's plan, which maybe is not that good, or you don't like it, or it's too hard or too easy, and you blindly follow it without any kind of thought without any kind of personal point of view or any personal correction you may want to make. You may end up thinking, okay, this is not for me. This is too hard. This is too easy. Never gonna make it. So I did what was necessary to stay inside of the boat, to stay on the boat, to continue my journey. Sometimes I had to make changes. Sometimes I followed the plan. I also do think that if you're talking about handstands, my training approach is something that comes from years and years and years of strength training. Because previously, before my one arm handstand training, I was training calisthenics, weightlifting. In that particular niche, you got to create programs. If you want to reach calisthenic skills or if you want to lift, I don't know, 100 kilos on the bench, whatever, you got to follow a program. So I was not new to the idea of using a program to make progress. It was not something that completely new to me. It was something, I gotta tell you, almost natural. But of course, it's not the same to train for a one arm or bench pressing 100 kilos. So I had to make some changes, but the structure, so the sets, the reps, the goals, I try to achieve this point. I do want to achieve these seconds. I want to hold my handstand this kind of amount of time. I'm really precise with that. So yeah, it helped me to follow someone else's program, even though I had a strong kind of relationship with writing programs, with understanding how to make progress. I had an idea. So it all translated into, okay, take what you know and try to make it work for another discipline. For for example, I do remember when I learned to juggle with the bowls, with the juggling bowls. Some people try to do that and they're just play. I don't fucking play. I never play. I work. And I tell myself, okay, you gotta do, I don't know, 10 sets of this exercise here until you got it right. But it gotta be an exercise that you're able to handle. So, for example, with the juggling, I started with just juggling with one bowl. One, two, three, four. And I was doing reps. I was not playing. I was not trying. I was learning, but with a structure. 10 sets, 10 reps on one side, 10 reps on the other side. Okay, can you deal it? Can you manage it? Yeah. Okay, now try with two bowls. Juggle with two bowls. Oh, it's 10 sets, 10 reps. I'm just like pulling out of the hat. That's, I don't remember how many sets, how many reps, of course. But that's just to give you an idea of how I follow. That's something I do in life in general. When I have to learn something, I don't play, I don't improvise. I always have a structure, an idea. If I have to learn the exercise, etc., yes, I try to learn from the best teachers, masters, whatever I can. But once I figure out the road, like, this is controversial because I do believe that someone can't figure out the road. There's no such road. There are hundreds of different roads, and they all lead to the same direction. In Italy, we say all roads lead to Rome.
Mhm.
But like there are multiple roads, and they lead to the same. They may lead to the same destination. So it doesn't like it, that doesn't mean that if you follow a road, another road is wrong or right. It just change. It just changes. With different individuals. So we may follow different roads. But once I figure out a path or a road that makes sense, something which is logical inside of my brain, okay, this makes sense to me. Okay, now I'm going to follow this. And I'm a kind of person that when something makes sense to me, I try not to change it. because I strongly believe in it. But that thing has to come from my observation, my reasoning. It doesn't have to be something that someone else tells me and I blindly follow it. Someone else can tell me something. If that something makes sense to me, it's logical, and I believe in it, then I can try to follow it. But it has to come from me. So if something comes from me, I can follow it. If something completely external comes to me and maybe 1% of that plan doesn't stay in line with my thoughts, then I can't follow it because I want to have something that I believe in. That's something that, I mean, I'm constantly fighting with this issue because it's something that can bring you up because like you think things through, etc. But sometimes you gotta tell yourself, okay, you can make mistakes, and I'm making probably tons, hundreds of mistakes. So if you don't listen to someone else, sometimes that's your ruin, that's your death, because you're kind of relying on yourself the whole time, believing that thing is true, that thing is the only thing you can do, that thing is the only thing that will lead you to where you want to go. But at the end of the day, you don't know it because you may be making mistakes or you may be wrong about something. So having someone to talk to and having someone that can teach you, okay, you got to do this or you got to change this. Having different opinions is something critical. You can try to work around them, but I try not to be blind. Okay. That blindness is a double faced coin. We have internal blindness, which means that I only follow what I think, and external blindness. I only follow what others people think. So I try to follow both, and I'm constantly fighting to find a balance. It's a struggle, but I do think it's normal.
I never really thought about the last thing you said with double blindness. I really like that analogy that we have to sort of reality check, not only to blindly follow others, but also ourselves. I really like that
Yeah,
argument that you made.
absolutely, absolutely. That's something difficult. I mean, I don't like to talk about others because, like, I don't want to put myself in a position where it seems like I'm judging people because I'm not. Some people can blindly follow others, and we all know that. History teaches us that people can blindly follow someone else, even if that someone else is a crazy person. And that at the same time, people sometimes blindly follow themselves without even caring about what others tell them. And I try to be in the middle. That's why I told you, if someone else tells me something, I'm not gonna blindly follow him. I gotta think it through. I gotta think about what that people told me, and if that thing is logical, makes sense to me, and I can try it, and it kind of that thing shows itself as something valuable for me, for my progress, whatever, then I can follow it. But I'm not gonna follow it blindly. I think you can apply this kind of reasoning to almost every aspect of your life. We're talking about training, but that's true for everything in life. Sometimes I gotta admit I'm more internally blind. So I'm just following my opinion, my judgment. And I know it's a mistake. I know it's a mistake. So there's a personality in me that comes out and he tells me, okay, you gotta stop. You gotta kind of reach out, find someone that can help you, that can make you think about things in a different way, and then you can re-elaborate your thoughts and continue. But at the end of the day, like if we're talking about training and one arms, etc., All that matters is that you stay on the boat. Since we're talking about handstands, when I started doing handstands, I had so many friends with me, so many friends, so many different people. We had chats, we had groups, we shared journeys, we traveled around Europe to train together. Now, 7 years later, I have very few friends. Everyone jumped out of the boats because the boats, the one arm handstand boats, or the splits boats, or whatever, it's a really, really shaky boat. All that matters is that you find a way to stay another day on the boat. That's all that matters. Because, like as I told you, everyone wants to get a one arm handstand, but everyone jumps out of the boat. I don't know how long have you been practicing handstands for, but think about all the people that you knew at the beginning of your journey. Now think about it now. My experience, 7 years have passed, and I lost 90% of the friends. I mean, like they're not practicing one arm handstands anymore.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I lost 90% of the people who started with me. I'm still on the boat with a few friends, but everyone jumped out. Too difficult, too time consuming, too mentally stressing, too physically hard for the joints, etc. Everyone jumped out. Someone just blindly followed what other people told them. Someone realized I can't do it, but not physically. I can't do it mentally because I'm not willing to put in the work because that's a lot of work.
I was gonna ask what kicks people out of the boat, but you said that. So the next question would be, how did you stay in the boat, and how do you stay in the boat in general? What do you think? Like, what separates people that achieve the stuff?
I'd like to show you this one. Captain Levi from Attack on Titan. And Levi had a saying, which is Shinzo Sasageyo, which comes from Japanese and it translates as devote your heart, donate your heart. And in Attack on Titan, people were trying to go outside of some walls in a world where titans, big, enormous humans, were eating people alive. And they were all dying, and there was no hope of finding out how to save the humankind, which was confined inside of some huge walls in a little town in the middle of nowhere. They were not knowing where they were. They were not knowing why those titans were eating them alive, but they were going outside of the walls, trying to find a reason why all that was happening without any success. For hundreds of years, they were going outside of the walls, get devoured, get eaten alive, and repeat, repeat, repeat. That's why Shinzo Sasageyo, if you wanted to do that, you had to do that not because there was a certainty to find the cause of that, to find answers. You have to do it because you believe in what you're doing. You believe in the cause. You devote your heart to the cause. And I do think that what helped me stay on the boat is this commitment, not to the final result, but to the effort itself. To stay on the boat is really difficult because you can't see the end of the sea. You're in the middle of the sea and there is no land, there is nothing. And devote your heart. Shinzo Sasageyo means jump on the boat, get on this trip, and do it just because you devote your heart to a cause, not because you expect something in return. The journey is the reward, you know? It's not about the reward, it's about the journey. I strongly believed in it, and I still believe in it. Because some days are just shit, my man. Some days are just hard to go by. And some days you really want to quit. And I always remind myself, Shinzo Sasage yo, which means that I devote my heart to the cause, not because I expect something in return, but this is who I am. This is who I want to be. This is what gives meaning to what I do. Because the day you're gonna have what you desire, like what do you expect to do? I mean, I started in 2017 looking for a one-arm handstand. The day came, I mean, the sun went down and then came up again. And I was like, okay, now what? You know? Now what? You gotta believe in something. You gotta devote your heart to something. Because all you can do in this life is not to get a reward, is to live the journey. The journey is the reward. Like, there's no reward. There's nothing. There's nothing because if you put things in context, I mean, I can do a one-arm handstand, yes, but maybe a 10-year-old girl from China can do 5 minutes of one-arm handstand at 10. And I'm fucking balancing for 10 seconds and my head is exploding. I'm kind of failing 50% of the time. God damn it. And she's doing 5 minutes as a warm-up. What's the point? Where's the reward? There's no reward. There's just your journey. That your journey is the reward. So what kept me inside of the boat is this idea of the boat is the reward. Is believing in something, is kind of following something that keeps you alive. You know what I mean? I hope that it makes sense at least.
100%. I'm with you on this one. Shinzo Sasageo.
Shinzo Sasageo.
So I think everybody experienced what you said at one point in their life. Even if it was like as a child, I still remember this one instance. I had a Nintendo Wii and there was this one game and I wanted to have it so bad, but I had to wait for my birthday for like 20 days, and 20 days is an eternity as a child. And every day, a friend borrowed me his manual, and every day I would read the manual. I would be like, yeah, 19 days, 18 days. And then the day came, I played for 2 hours, and then I was like, and now what? And now what?
Yeah.
And even as a child, I feel like now I just remember, I forgot about this for many years, but now as you said it, I remember. And I'm also in the process of learning the one-arm handstand right now. I'm training with Harry Williams online and grinding my ass off right now, like 2-3 hours daily. And it's exactly what you said. Like before this training plan, I was at a point where I was getting up and not feeling so motivated. But now I have this training plan. And even though not every day I'm like bouncing up and down and off the walls, be like, yeah, I can't wait to train. Every completed training session, I just feel like I've proven to myself I want this. And exactly what you said, like if I think back, like I started, I think 5 or 4 years ago also with this whole movement thing, calisthenics, and then handstands, pretty similar to what you said. And I started a WhatsApp group back then, and like I think, as you said, like probably 95% of those people, yeah, maybe they can still like do a handstand, like kick up to one, but they did not stay on this sort of path on the boat.
Yep.
What you said, no?
On the boats, yep.
They didn't stay on the boat. So it really, really resonates with me. And also what you said, I have to admit, I didn't watch Attack on Titan fully, but I watched like a fair share of anime in my days. And I think this mentality of just perseverance is a really common theme in, I don't know if it's the Japanese zeitgeist and if it's just what they have in their culture, but I think this is something that we really lost or are losing today, like persevering, because I know many people, and including myself in some areas, that say, yeah, I want to play guitar. Yeah, exactly, right? I want to do this. I want to start social media. I want to start a business, no, whatever. And then you get these huge spike of initial motivation and you do it for a week and then maybe 2 weeks. And then the first big stone in your way comes and you're like, this doesn't feel good anymore. And then 99% of people quit and don't even, and that is like also tragic in itself, don't even get to experience what could have been, right?
I mean, it's a complicated topic here because I do think that the people you see, which are on top, we all have this new society based on the people that made it through the Instagram algorithm, I like to say. And those people, we elevate them, we prize them with views, with sponsorships, with whatever. It's easy to believe that, okay, I can do it. But I strongly believe also that for myself, like when I started, like I wanted to compete, I wanted to do that. But then I realized I'm not that kind of person because when you start something, I always start with the mentality you're not going to make it because that's part of the human nature. Also, the birth, you have to compete against many other things. Okay. Just one succeeds, which is you, but all the others failed. Whatever kind of thing you may want to do in life, I think it like this. I have to be prepared to be on the loser's side. I have to be prepared because the probability to be on that losing side is higher than being on the winner side because one person wins, thousands lose. But now we have to put and understand what losing means because society gives us this idea of winning, which is totally untrue. There is no such winning. Like if you want to start a business, we all expect it to be a millionaire in 3 years or in 2 years or in 1 year. But a business can work also with a reasonable amount of money or whatever for a sustained period of time. That's still a business. Not all businesses are millionaires. But society tries to tell us that, okay, a business is a millionaire thing or a business is a success. Everyone has to know about your business. I think that people that gets out of the boat, business wise, whatever, one arm, etc., they are pressed about I have to be the best. I have to do this in as little time as possible. I do feel it as well. I do feel it in everything I do, in handstands. In if one day I have a bad handstand session, I want to quit. That makes no fucking sense. What's the point? But we all have that side because we are anxious about our performance. We have to be on top every day. We have to be quick. We have to have everything now, not tomorrow, now. We have to do and have everything now, which is totally unsustainable. So when people try to launch a business, launch a podcast, launch whatever, they're discouraged because they can say, I don't know, Andrew Huberman, in 1 year, 100 million downloads. So if you're not like Henry Huberman, you're a failure. That's what society feels like. You gotta do like him or better. I don't know. Flexibility wise, I have a my channel, but there are hundreds of channels which have more followers, more video views, more whatever than me. And that forces you to think about, okay, I have to do more. I have to do this. I mean, competition is a beautiful thing when it's healthy. But I think right now we are on the unhealthy side. It's an unhealthy competition. It's something that forces people to quit immediately. As soon as they realize this is something that takes time, I don't have time. I have to scroll, I have to work, I have to whatever. I don't want to do this. I don't try to find a solution. So I don't want to generalize because it's easy at this point. We're talking about society, we're talking about complex topics. I know. I don't want to be a generalist, which I'm not. Just trying to make a point and to follow your lead on people quitting, people not realizing that they can stay on the journey, that they can stay on the boat, they can follow the path, that they can do something. and they have to do that something, not because there is a reward after that. Like we're making this podcast, for example. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm just doing it because I don't like we can end the conversation right now. And I'm happy because I had a conversation with you. There's no reward. I'm doing it because it's giving value to you and to me in the present moment, not because there is a reward. We're enjoying ourselves. Of course, then there are the numbers. Then we all want to be in this world where we have to measure, we have to understand, we can improve. If there's no competition, there's nothing. And I'm okay with that. But competition is not a reward, it's different. And people sometimes expect the reward, expect to embark on a journey just for the reward, when they should realize that you should embark on a journey because you like it. I mean, you're not gonna like it each and every day. It has to be clear, especially when it comes to physical disciplines. When you talk to athletes, when you talk to professionals, they all can tell you some days it's hard, but I love what I do. You know, I love the ups and downs. I love the shitty days. I love the hard days, whatever. You gotta like it. Otherwise, why are you doing it? I don't know. I'm not drawing because I don't like it. And no one is forcing me to draw. I'm just taking drawing like a. If you draw, you listeners, no offense intended, but it's not something I am enjoying. You know, I don't paint because I don't like it. But painting is beautiful. When I look at a picture painted by an artist, it's fantastic. But I don't think I want to be that artist. I don't want it to be. But if I wanted to be, the first thing I would think about is, would I like to draw? Would I like to make a picture? Or do I only like the idea of that drawing I'm seeing or I'm looking at? If I just like the idea, then I can do everything. Because if I think about Joe Perry of the Aerosmith being on a fucking stage playing the guitar, of course I like the idea, but do I like the process of playing the guitar, going through all the stuff? Probably not, you know? So I'm not embarking on that journey. But do I like handstands? Yes. Even though I have to start from the beginning, I love to control my body. I love that, you know? That's my point of view.
I agree. I think this also comes back to this devotion to
Yep.
what I said earlier with this critique point of, okay, people start but they don't go through, is also devote yourself and concentrate your energy on one thing. And I think also this boat analogy, like everybody's boat is different, right? Like your boat
Yeah.
might have gone to a viral social account. I don't know. My boat might be I give local courses and that's it. And that can be okay. And the thing is, you just have to put in the effort and you have to see what do I really want and to listen to your need and to actually also see your possibility, which also ties back to this point you made all the way in the beginning where you talked about getting input from the outside, but also tweaking it from your inside and listening how it responds within you. For example, training. A coach gives you an exercise and the exercise feels like it doesn't do anything. It just hurts or whatever. It just doesn't work for your body.
Mm-hmm.
And there I would be curious because you're also a teacher.
Yes.
How do you differentiate? Okay, now you have to follow. Shut up, just follow.
Mm-hmm.
Don't listen to this voice in your head. And okay, now it's time to listen to the voice in your head. You know, how do you differentiate that?
That's a nice question. Thank you so much for asking me this. I do think that at the base, the process is always the same. I like to think about that meme on the internet where there is this bell curve, you know. At the beginning, like when you are a beginner, it's just push with your shoulders and keep your body still. Then at the top of the bell, you have all those people kind of overthinking it. Yeah, you have to move your shoulders 1 degree outside, then you have to pull your chest in, then you have to squeeze your glutes like this, and you have to posterior tilt. And then you start going down that bell curve toward the more advanced stuff. And when someone is really, really advanced, he thinks, push with your shoulders, keep your body still. Exactly like a beginner, like it's the same. So I'm really fascinated by that. I do think there is a balance. There should be kind of a balance between these two. There is always time to listen to your brain, and there is always time to listen to others. I do think that there should be space for both. I mean, when you start, there is less space for personal exploration because there's no base. You have no material to play with. It's like I do want to play the guitar. I don't know how to play one chord. Like, how can I follow my reasoning? Then 2 years to 3 years of practice. Okay, I can play a few songs, I can arrange some notes, I can compose some melodies, maybe. Hey, it's time for you, maybe, to, yeah, you always need a teacher, but it's time for you to follow your personal taste. Do you like to play rock music? Play rock music. Do you like to play another kind of music? Play another kind of music. For example, in instance, I do love some shapes. I do love some forms. I do love some exercises. I do love some sensations. So even though a coach might tell me, oh, you gotta do this, I'm more like, I want to do something else because I like that side. It's like at the gym. If you want to, I don't know, have huge biceps, you're going to train your biceps. If someone comes in and he or she tells you, you gotta train your chest more, you gotta tell him, fuck yourself. I'm gonna train my biceps first because I like my biceps more. If you like your biceps more and that's what you want in life, who can tell you differently? I mean, that's it. That's different than saying if someone comes in and he tells you, okay, if you want to compete for this kind of tournament or something, you gotta follow this road because maybe your biceps are too big and you gotta develop your chest more. Then you gotta follow that advice. But because in that moment, it's not about your biceps, it's about you gotta train for that tournament or that particular competition you do want to win. So the the context is changing. But when you are at the beginner stage, then everything that your teacher, which should be someone you trust, should be important. Because otherwise, why are you a beginner and why are you listening to a teacher? Because you're trying to learn something. So less space for personal exploration. But as you move on your journey, as you improve, as you make your skill set better, it's time for you to explore maybe some other things.
I like this. Like,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Grazie mille. The last guest, Theo, maybe you know him also. He's also quite big on Instagram. He used to do tutorials on all these fancy moves like backflip, double cork, whatever. He always did it like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. But then he realized people can't do that. People sit in their chair for 9 hours. So we have to start at the foundation. And I think that ties beautifully to what you said. It's always this house analogy that comes to my mind. Like, if you want to build a house, your house can look whatever you want. If you want a circle window, it's fine. If you want a square window, it's fine. But if you have no foundation to build your house on, it's going to crumble and sink the first time wind comes.
Yep. It's gonna get down. It's gonna get down. What I notice is that true teachers, good teachers, they all share the same foundation. They may be different the more you move toward the more advanced shapes and stuff, etc. Okay, but foundation wise, you're gonna be connecting dots. So you're gonna be kind of finding interesting connections, interesting things that are true for each and every teacher.
To sort of round this out, I have one
Yep.
question. Imagine a little fairy comes and is like, "Hello, Elia," poof, and you have none. You are a human being, you function, but you have no side split. You have nothing. You start at zero. You can walk and jump. That's it. And you want to get back to where you are now. I have to say this as well. How would you approach that? And the thing that lies behind that, like, how should a beginner start if they want to get where you are right now? Apart from working with you, obviously.
Would I have the same brain, or also the what I
Sure.
have inside here would be
Sure. No,
cut
no, no.
off?
You know how to get there. That's the point. You know exactly what you need to do. What would you do?
So at first, of course, I would be mentally strong. If I really wanted to make it, I would be mentally strong to stay on the boat. So the first realization is mental zone, mental training. I want to do it. I'm willing to commit these hours every day to training. That's it. No days off, nothing. Like that is what I do. That is something I like. That is something personal. It's not a job. Because sometimes when I tell people I train 4 5 hours per day, they tell me, okay, it's like a job. It's not a job. No one is telling me to do that. I am telling me to do that. And I'm the only captain of the boat. So if I'm willing to do it again, I would first of all commit to a structure and to an idea of it's important that you follow this road because you like it and because you want to do it. Then, blitz wise, it's just about finding the correct stretches. The argument is so huge, and I could make hundreds of examples. I do believe in basics, also flexibility wise. So, we're talking about stretches with weights, stretches for lower body as well as for the hips, etc. And so I would stretch almost every day after my handstand and strength sessions. What I did in the past, it would be kind of completely identical. So 5 to 6 days per week training handstands, 3 to 4 hours per day, and 4 days per week strength training, 2 days per week specific flexibility training, 1 day per week rest. That would be the schedule. Now, exercise wise, like from zero, I would start with the basics. So, from the wall with the handstands, wall work, a little bit of acrobatics in there would be ideal, just to learn the cartwheels, how to safely get out of the position, how to move my body in a better way, and also to understand better how to stop that handstand. And I would keep the same structure each and every day, really forcing my body to understand those basics. Strength training wise, it would be 4 days per week, 2 days full body strength, other 2 days per week, maybe straight arm and strength. I would try to develop my press to handstand and my legs. 2 days per week, flexibility training specific. That means 1 to 2 hours stretching specifically for the splits or for the pancake or for any kind of flexibility position. I would start again with the basics. So butterfly stretch, frog pose, saw stretch, quad stretch, hamstring stretch, pike stretch, etc. I would get my muscles really on point, and I would make sure that the basics would be on point. And then from there, I would move on. Is that a good answer? Is that an answer to the point?
That's a plus plus.
I was trying to follow the kind of the reasoning. Also, because if I think about it, it doesn't feel like another life. It feels like I'm where I am now. I'm nowhere, not feeling like I have accomplished something, like trying to be better each and every day. I try to improve myself. That's all. That's really all that I have to say. So it's just about doing what I do, maybe less exercises, less volume. Of course, when you start, if you are a common human being, of course, you got to respect your body. So maybe the hours won't be 4, maybe they will be something like 2 or 3. But yeah, once I know that I can respect my body, I can have my shoulders in place, I have my wrists in place, I have everything in place, my hips, my legs, my back. Then it's just about following the road, finding the structure, finding the commitment, finding the routine. That's all.
Again, it's such a complicated problem, but such a simple
Yeah.
answer, right? Just do what needs to be done and stick to it.
Paradoxically, the commitment and sticking to your plan is the most important thing. Even a shitty program followed for a sufficient amount of time can lead more results than a perfect program not followed. Know what I mean? It's just about finding your consistency and direction. When we talk about direction, we're talking about understanding where you want to go, understanding how you're going to make it. If you have this direction, thanks to a coach, beautiful. If you have this direction, thanks to a YouTube video, YouTube tutorial, and you think you have it clear, beautiful. It's your choice. Of course, a coach is going to be better than a YouTube video. That's for sure. But some people really learned to do the one arm handstand thanks to a YouTube video. Maybe someone like some talented people can do it. I never thought myself as someone talented because things came to me pretty hard and I had to put in twice the effort other people put. But at the end of the day, as I told you, most important thing is just to stay on the boat. So depending on what's your direction, where you want to be, and if you understand what you have to do in order to get there, depending on that, all that counts is, are you going to put in the work or not?
The message is down to earth and clear, and it's just look, this is the result, but there's this amount of work and there's no way around it. Like when you see somebody that does a middle split, I mean, of course, there's people that did gymnastics as a child, but even then they put
Yep.
some work in as a child. They put the work in. You cannot buy it. You have to put the work in.
Absolutely. You cannot buy it. You said it. You cannot buy it. That's all, my man. That's all. You cannot buy it.
Elia, the last hour went by like this. I had fun, man. That was a great conversation.
I had fun too. I had fun too.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm gonna link everything in the description.
Thank you.
Still, like, any last words? Not in live, but for the podcast. And if people want to work with you, like, what would be the way to find you to work with you? What would be the best ways?
So first of all, thank you so much for hosting me. We connected through Instagram. I do think that I accepted your invitation because I can say you are a really smart person following a dream, which is really similar to mine, which is also the way you deliver your message is fun, is entertaining, is interesting, and it's ripe of beautiful information. I do think that people should look out for content like yours rather than following those shitty tutorials that sometimes I post on my social media, where I really genuinely react to some TikTok or social media posts. I really say, which I mean, like they're awful, but not because like I'm against the person, but because like how are you supposed to learn the splits in 30 seconds with 3 stretches on social media? There's no way. You got to understand that. It's like if someone tells you earn $1 million with these 3 tools in 30 seconds, are you going to believe it? I mean, there's no possible way. And it's the same. So why are you believing that kind of shit and not the money making thing? It's the same. But those tutorials have hundreds of thousands of likes, which me and you don't have. And it's sad because like your content is valuable, you're doing your best to share what you know. And thanks to creators like yourself and maybe even myself that put out really valuable content for fucking free. So that's why I decided to have this conversation with you. And I really do want to think about this kind of message. And I really do want to thank you. Where people can find me, they can find me on Instagram as the Flexibility Guy, Coach Elia. Also on YouTube, same, the Flexibility Guy, Coach Elia. But the major spots, too, I have my own app platform, which they can find through my links on Instagram or on YouTube. It's like my own Netflix, it's the Flexibility Guy app where they can find entertainment, but most importantly, programs and video courses about flexibility, handstands, bodyweight training, etc. They can also find me on Amazon because I'm an author, and that's the highest pleasure of my life. Writing. I've written 8 books on flexibility, handstands, and related topics, and they can find me on Amazon easily. They can type splits hacking, which is my most famous book. And from there, they can find all my other books like Stretching, Modern Flexibility Methods, the latest I've written, which talks about stretching and the most modern flexibility methods. That said, thank you so much for hosting me and for the occasion. I really do wish this podcast the best. It's wonderful. You're a wonderful host, and you really made me feel at home. And you asked me some really good questions. Thank you so much.
Man, hearing that puts a big smile on my face. Thank you so much as well. And until next time. That concludes the episode. Please go check out Elia. His work is amazing and he really knows what he's talking about. The guy has written many books on the topic and he's mostly self-taught. So he has a very big interest in the topic and a lot of knowledge. So please feel free to follow him on the socials and also follow me on my socials. That would be amazing. If you listen to this on YouTube, please give it a like and comment below how you liked the episode. And if you listen to it on Spotify, please feel free to give me a 5-star rating. That would be honestly amazing and support me for providing this free value. And if you're interested to learn more about flexibility, go check out Elia. And if you want to learn the handstand, check out my free handstand program, the Handstand Formula. Both links in bio. See you guys next time.